Okay, time for a new video, and whether you are somebody new to my channel or you are returning to my channel to watch this video, it is greatly appreciated. As always, I'm filming this video in one go, so if I stumble over my words moving forwards, apologies about that, and also apologies if the quality of this video is fairly poor as well. If there's any lag, anything like that at all, sadly it can't be helped, and hopefully it's not too much of an issue for you. This is yet another Eurovision 2024 related video here on my channel, and specifically another Melodifestivalen related video. Today I'm going to be briefly reviewing last week's Heat 5, which took place in Karlstad. 6 more acts took to the stage, 2 went through directly to the final, which is this weekend at the time of recording this video you're watching now, in Stockholm. 2 went through to the rather unusual and somewhat controversial runoff vote second chance round thing. I'll be briefly going through that as well, looking ahead to the final, telling you my very rough prediction for the result, and also which songs are my favourites. As always, you're welcome to let me know your thoughts on anything I discussed today by leaving a comment down below, and as always there are links in the description to my other social media pages. Check them out if you so wish. So this is about the 3rd or 4th time I'm trying to record this video, so I'm really going to try and rattle through it as best I can. Heat 5 in Karlstad, finishing last in the second round of voting with 28 points, not doing terribly well across any of the age range voting, was Banamai, which translates roughly as Damn It, by Elektra, who has appeared on Sweden's version of Drag Race. These songs, they're never really that great. Drag artists I've no problem with whatsoever, and we are getting more and more of them arguably in national finals across the continent, but the songs that they perform I don't think are ever really top notch, and this to me felt dated. It was definitely going for some sort of After Dark thing. After Dark, who was in Melfest several times, finished 3rd, I think it was 2005 or something. This was definitely in that realm. I didn't really like the voice, I'll be honest, quite low vocals. It's almost as if they were going for a somewhat comical delivery at times, and I'm not sure that really worked at all. Diamonds on the backdrop, bit of choreography, dances, that sort of thing. 20 years ago this might have sailed through to the final, but I guess times have changed, and the fact that nobody really went big for this in the voting suggests that maybe have drag acts in national finals, but they deserve better songs. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't mind it, but I'm not really going to listen to it again in a hurry. 4th place in the second round of voting, 42 points. Again, not doing incredibly well across the age range voting. Controller by Chelsea Mucho. This wasn't too bad. The colours here, quite warm and neon-like. It reminded me of the GTA trailer that I watched several weeks ago. It was giving me that sort of Miami summery vibe. I don't know what I'm talking about here really. Also reminded me a little bit of Ahuma by Sijo several weeks ago in Melfest, and she reminded me of Reneida, who performed in Melfest several years ago too. Bit of choreography. I have to say, I don't know for sure, but it seemed to me, particularly in the chorus, that she wasn't really doing a whole lot of live singing, and the backing track and the backing vocals, which were quite loud, were doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Lacking a bit of spark, but otherwise a perfectly fine, feel-good song. We then have to move straight into the very strange runoff vote second chance round thing. People were very upset about this because the 2 songs that performed live on the night were the 2 songs that ended up going through from the runoff vote. There's talk of recency bias, the other acts not getting much of a chance to really excel again. I don't know. Chances are SVT, who do love tinkering with the format of stuff, they'll tinker with the format again next year. Honestly, this was very messy, quite rushed, and thoroughly disappointing. I was rooting for Elisa Lindström and Fröken Snusk, both of whom are out. Let's actually go through the results from bottom to top. So Forever Yours by Elisa Lindström, pure Schlager. I'm not really going to talk about the performances because they happened several weeks ago now, and I've already given you my thoughts on them. But this is a really catchy song. I liked it, even if it's doing nothing particularly original. Sadly, she finished 10th out of 10 songs. Then we had Cloudy with Verdai, and what I remember most about this performance was that he was performing in a little area surrounded by greenery, that sort of thing. It was a pretty basic performance. The song itself, pretty basic. However, I do like it now a little bit more than I did when I first heard it, so that's something. Anyway, he's out. He finished 9th. Then we had The Silence After You by Dear Sarah. Really liked this. Again, we get stuff like this in Melfest so regularly. It wasn't doing anything new or original. Quite nasally vocals, I would say. Fine by me. I liked her voice. I liked the song. I liked the way it moved along. It was very pretty. But she's out, finishing 8th. Albin Tingval with Done Getting Over You. He finished 7th. He had 2 male dancers with him. Quite colourful in terms of what was happening on the screens behind him. Not sure that totally matched the song. This needed a bit more energy. It needed a bit more liveliness. And the fact that this did progress to the runoff vote may be a little bit surprising, but there we are. He's out. Not a bad song, though. 6th place, Supernatural by Adam Woods. Super basic stuff. This came through from Heat 1. He was alone on stage, casually dressed. All of these sort of golden sparks and everything on the backdrop that I remember, and on the stage floor. Moved along in a very predictable manner. I'm not surprised that this has been eliminated. 5th place was Gunilla Persson with I Won't Shake La La Gunilla. Bit of a jokey entry, country pop I guess. Couple of dancers on stage with her. She was in a shimmery white dress. Having a good time. Not a whole lot of movement from her. The song itself, bouncy, harmless, a bit silly, quite fun, enjoyable to watch. I thought maybe this would sneak through to the final, but in the end, 5th place in the runoff vote. 4th was Scarlet with Circus X. Yeah, I still don't really know what to make of this song. I like the chorus, and I like the ending when it really ramps up and the drama becomes even more notable, I guess. But the verses, for me, not really loving it. It's almost as if it's 2 songs in one, and somebody is turning the dial between quite slow-paced and gothic to more gothic and a bit more rocky in style, if you see what I mean. It was really flitting between these 2 styles. Anyway, I'm not really describing myself terribly well here. I wouldn't be mad if they came back to Melfest next year or at some point in the future, but I think they would need a much stronger song. Then we have Unga och Fria by Fröken Snusk, the woman who nobody knows who she is because she wears this pink balaclava, performing on the horse on stage several weeks ago. Again, very neon, quite colourful, fairly vibrant. She missed out because Jay Smith had, well, it says here, in case of a tie, the exact number of votes cast during the final qualification round are taken into account to break the tie. So Sweden just preferred Jay Smith a little bit more, for some reason. This is the biggest song in Sweden at the moment, and the fact it's not in the Melfest final is really surprising. Had Fröken Snusk been in the final, she wouldn't have won it. She'd have done perfectly well with the Swedish public, but I'm not sure the international jurors would have been totally on board with this. Anyway, good song, catchy. I really expected something a little bit crazier when I heard that she was going to be involved in this year's Melfest, but actually, you know, it wasn't that crazy at all. It was maybe a little bit over the top. The performance, maybe, it could have been a little bit tighter, a little bit less messy, maybe. But nevertheless, I like the song. I've heard it back a few times, and it's a shame it's not in the final. Instead, we have Jay Smith with Back to My Roots. Casually dressed, nice voice, bit of grit to his voice, I would say. I know that he was on Swedish Idol years ago. Couple of other musicians around him. Back to My Roots in big letters, directly behind him on stage. This should be right up my street, sort of roots rock, country pop, going in that sort of vein, playing it very safe. And I think the fact it is playing it so safe is why I'm not really loving this. But it is what it is. It's not a bad song. Not really sure it should be in the final. And then Light by Annika Vicky Helder. This did remarkably well. It's a pretty bog-standard ballad. I've actually written here regarding Annika. Uplifting, but we've heard it all before. Sort of crooked-looking mirrors on stage, either side of her. Not sure I'm describing that terribly well, but there we are. Nice vocals, builds up quite nicely as well. Don't mind her at all. But the song, again, lacking that little extra spark. But perhaps in the final, the international juries, maybe the Swedish public too, will really enjoy it for what it is. I don't know. Let's briefly go through the grand final lineup then. 12 acts tomorrow night in Stockholm. It is possible I will be doing a reaction video as the results are coming in. I've done that for the past few years. No guarantees with that. It may or may not surface. Song 1 tomorrow is Maria Sur with When I'm Gone. I'm not going to talk about these performances in too much detail because I've covered them in previous videos. But Maria is great. This is so much more authentic. Last year, that song I don't think was really reflective of her and the music she wants to release moving forwards. This feels more up her alley, I guess. She looks great, sounds fantastic. Bit of choreography. There's lots of flashing lights, but the staging and the whole look of the performance is still quite dark, which is a bit of a shame. It's also a shame she's opening the final. This should do quite well. She didn't win her heat, though, so I'm not sure she's winning Melfest as a whole, but hopefully she's going to get a really good result, because it's a very credible piece of pop. Song 2, Jay Smith, I've already spoken about. Song 3, Lisa Ryacks, Heavily Pregnant, Awful Lie, the name of her song. There's not really much to this. There's 2 dancers, pinkish lighting. We know she can really sing. It's an all-right ballad, but I am expecting this to really struggle because there's just better songs and better performances, more memorable performances coming up after her in the running order. Song 4, Smash Into Pieces. This was also in Heat 1 with Lisa Ryacks. Won Heat 1, Heroes Are Calling. Of course, Smash Into Pieces, they did very well last year, finishing 3rd. This maybe isn't quite as strong. We've got lasers, flashing lights, lots of blue to the performance. Good vocals from the lead singer. There is some energy here, but I wish it was taking a little bit more of a risk. This is playing it fairly safe. Song 5, Cassiopeia with Give My Heart a Break. Well, she definitely knows a thing or two about writing songs because she's written loads of K-pop stuff over the years. She's also one of the co-writers of Tattoo, and she co-wrote Effortless, I think, for Jacqueline, which I'll get onto in a moment. But anyway, this is very cutesy, very twee, maybe a bit too juvenile and saccharine for some tastes. But I like this. Don't like what the backing dancers are wearing. But we've got lots of different colours, very vibrant, it's very catchy. I hope it does quite well. Then we have Annika Vickyhalder, I've already spoken about her. Then we have Marcus and Martinus with Unforgettable, which is very rich because this is a tad forgettable. I have to say, it's all about the staging. We know Sweden love different elements to their staging. Benjamin Ingrosso a few years ago did really well with the juries in Lisbon. He had those that light up podium. You'll remember what I'm on about. Well, Marcus and Martinus have a light up corridor. So the omens are good. The juries will eat this up, I think. If this was to go to Eurovision, the juries will eat this up because it's a very slick performance. I'm not a huge fan of the vocals. They're not bad, but I think it's just... I'm not a huge fan of their voices, I guess. There's a bit of choreography. It's really, really trying to stand out. It's almost trying a bit too hard to stand out. And I don't want to come across as too critical because I really don't mind this song and I really don't mind the performance, but it doesn't have a lot of soul to it. It feels empty and soulless and cold. And we know it's not going to change much if it goes to Eurovision, so what we've got now is probably exactly what we will get in Malmö in May, if indeed they win Melfest tomorrow night. Maybe the momentum has shifted towards 1 or 2 other songs in recent days. I'm still expecting this to be right up there challenging for the win. Then we have Dotter with It's Not Easy to Write a Love Song. Some people are disappointed by this one, saying it's far from her best. I'm inclined to agree. But I like her, I don't mind her voice. The performance was fine, this piano. She was in a rather drab, ragged grey outfit. It's a very fine ballad. But I don't see it winning at all. And if Dotter can't win with this, and she didn't win with Bulletproof, and she didn't win with Little Tot, and she didn't even get out of her own heat with Cry all those years ago, then what is she going to win Melfest with? I don't really know. It's a really nice song, though. And then we have Medina with Que Sera. This, to me, is good because it's in the Swedish language. And it could win Melfest. This is doing really well on Spotify. There is momentum behind this duo. They did well a few years ago with Ini Diman. This is not a million miles away from that. Again, maybe a bit too reliant on the backing track, the backing vocals, all of that stuff. Especially in the chorus. There's pyro, there's energy. It's very vibrant, vivid. and very easy to go along with. It does sound like a European Championships or World Cup theme song. And yeah, absolutely, this could be our winner. It's got a good position in the running order, and a lot of people are really enjoying it for what it is. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm fairly indifferent on it. I like it, but I'm not really loving it. Liamu with Dragon. This is a bit of a fat disappointment, I'm not going to lie. He's got fire all around him. He's quite casually dressed as well. Quite melancholic sounding verses, and then the chorus packs a little bit more of a punch, if you see what I mean. He's not a bad performer, he's not a bad singer, but he's yet to have a song really capable of winning Melfest. And if you ask me, this is actually a step back rather than moving forwards. Jacqueline with Effortless, the newcomer of the year. She looks and sounds like a pop star, in all honesty. This is great. It's quite sensual without being too over the top sexy. She's got that light up rectangle on stage with her, a couple of dancers. I do like this. It's a really solid pop song, and I hope she does well. And then we have Daddy Salcedo with the most basic song you have probably heard for years. Honestly, I'm not convinced by him as a singer. I'm not convinced by him as a performer. The song is fine, but my God, it's so utterly generic. Honestly, it's like no effort was put into this song to make it feel remotely fresh. Now, you could say that about many of the other songs in the final. Absolutely, I wouldn't blame you. But this is by far the most basic of the entire batch, and it's closing the show. If this challenges for the win, I will be open-mouthed, because this is not at all strong enough. Again, casually dressed, steps on stage, archways, which I think fall away as the song moves on. Lots of very colourful projections all around him. But this needs something else. Dancers, more liveliness from him. Oh man, yeah, this is falling very flat for me, I have to say. Anyway, maybe that was a bit harsh, but let's now go through my extremely rough prediction for the result. I was waiting to find out about the international juries tomorrow night, but we don't seem to have a list of them yet. So this is a very bog-standard list of names, rather than being a lot more specific. Don't take this too seriously, but I have predicted Lisa Ajax to finish last. I can see her doing well here and there with the juries, but not very well at all with the Swedish public. In 11th place, I've gone with Jay, who's actually getting good streaming numbers, but that doesn't really account for much. In 10th place, I've gone with Annika Vicky Halder, who I think will do better with the Swedish public. Then we have Danny Saucedo. I'm not too sure about that one, but I honestly can't imagine him finishing much higher. Then it's Cassiopeia, who again is doing fairly well in terms of radio airplay and streaming numbers, I believe. Am I missing somebody out here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. No, so 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. In 7th place, I've gone with Smash Into Pieces. Again, great song, decent performance, but maybe playing it a bit too safe, and there are songs that are getting more buzz. So I think finishing in the top 3 again is a big ask. 6th place, I've gone with Dotter. I think people will be disappointed by her result. I'd be surprised if she finished any higher, in all honesty. 5th place, I've gone with Jacqueline. I can see her getting a reasonable amount of love from the Swedish public across the age ranges and the international juries. Liamu, I've gone to finish 4th, which is a big, big gamble. But I can see him scoring well, again, with the Swedish public and the juries. I imagine he's going to get a pretty decent score. I'm really not sure about Liamu at all. 3rd, I've gone with Maria. Again, bit of a gamble. And then I've gone with Medina in 2nd and Marcus and Martinez in 1st. They're the clear front runners, really, and I'd be very surprised if they didn't win tomorrow night. Maybe not comfortably, but they were runners-up last year. They've come back with, you could even say, a much, much slicker song, much slicker performance. They're the ones to beat. Medina might run them close, but I think it's Eminem's to lose. Now, very, very briefly, last in each heat, I haven't even... Oh, here we go. Yes, I'm looking at the wrong thing. My number 6 in each heat Melina Borglo, Engmans Kapelle, Kim Cesarion, Lasse Stephans and Electra. 5th in each heat for me personally. We have Adam Woods, Sijo, Gunilla Persson, Albin Tingvall and Chelsea Mucho. In my runoff round, 10th Clara Klingenström, 9th Annika Vicky Halder, 8th Samir and Victor, 7th Danny Saucedo, 6th Jay Smith, 5th Scarlett, 4th, I've made a mistake here, 10th is Cloudy, 4th is Clara Klingenström, 3rd is Dear Sarah, and the 2 going through to my personal final, Elisa Lindström and Fröken Snusk. And then my top 12, very rough here, so bear that in mind. Elisa Lindström, Fröken Snusk, Leah Larsson with 30 kilometers an hour, Medina 9th, Liamu 8th, Lisa Ajax 7th, Cassiopeia 6th, Smash Into Pieces 5th, Marcus and Martinez 4th, Jacqueline 3rd, Maria Sur 2nd, and Dotter 1st. But it is a close run thing, and a lot will depend on when I see the live performances tomorrow. Not necessarily live, I will be waiting until after the show is finished to watch it back, but there may be a video tomorrow, all being well, of me reacting to the results as they come in. It might be quite a long video because I don't know how long of a break there'll be between the jury votes and the Swedish public votes. Hopefully not too long, because I'll just be waffling on otherwise. But yes, that might surface on my channel tomorrow. And of course, do stick around for more videos because we are getting the last few tracks for this year's contest very soon, and I'll be reacting to them when they surface. My word, many apologies for rambling. I would also like to direct you to my community tab because I did post something up there very recently regarding Israel's participation, and I'd very much like to know your thoughts on that. But until next time, hopefully the lag wasn't too bad. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, and tomorrow we will find out who'll be representing this year's host nation. Take care, see you soon, and bye for now.